Welcome to the DG Show with Dana and Coco. What's going on, folks? How you doing? Today's gonna be an interesting show, and we're gonna be speaking on adult children. When the hell they leaving? Do they get put out? Do they gotta pay bills? I want to know your thoughts on adult children. Now, remember now. Everybody's complaining about eggs costing $6 and $7, and in my opinion, it could be cultural. It could be an American thing.
Oh, okay.
In my opinion, certain aspects of it, but. And I've also discovered, Coco, that when I usually text you the topics, I stop getting specific with you because when I say the topic, your mind tends to go somewhere, and it's good for the conversation, but your mind tends to go somewhere else completely. You feel what I'm saying?
No, that's based on what you say, though. Because you said something about when do you let them go or something like that.
Right. When do you let them go?
And my response was never.
Never? I'm talking about as far as them leaving the house.
Okay. Well, you don't let them go leaving the house. Would we? My thing with children, period, not just adult children, because we've gotten here now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pretty much lose your kids around the age of 12. And
meaning what? They get to start. They're starting developing their own minds. They're gonna the actions. What you talking about specifically?
Everything, because I think we just do it wrong. Because I observe people, and I have my own experiences, but I observe people raising children, right?
Right.
And in my observation, it seems to me that people have the idea in their head, first of all, that we own these little people. We don't own them.
They better come change this channel, I know that, and bring me some water.
Right. So we talk to them all crazy. We talk to them in ways we don't want people talking to us. They're not second-class citizens. They're not.
No, I agree
less
with that.
than us. They're not beneath us. But I see people treating their kids that way. They cuss them out.
See that?
And I'm talking kids, right?
Small children.
So by the time
you ready to make people cry. Look at it. You see what I'm saying?
So by the time
you're putting pictures up,
12,
pulling on people's emotions right now. I'm sorry. Go ahead, go.
By the time they're 12 and they start talking back and they start doing things, and now you want to beat on them and whip on them and different stuff like that because they talking to you a certain kind of way. Well, right. That's how you talk to them.
That's how you talk to them. I agree.
And so I hear people like when I have this one cousin, she hears me and Gabby talk back and forth. Well, Gabby, she expresses herself. She gets to be upset. She gets to, you know, we don't do the whole rolling the eyes and you know, all of that stuff.
Because that's deemed disrespectful.
It's deemed disrespectful, but who am I?
No, that's deemed disrespectful.
Who are you? Why are you supposed to get such treatment from this person that you're not respecting?
No, I agree now. If I'm disrespecting, I'm with you on that. If my behavior, and I'm with you, I understand. Most children reflect what they see on a daily and what they experience.
Right, and what they experience.
Yeah,
and so
I agree.
Y'all are communicating like that, and then you say, well, you don't get to talk to me that way because I'm your parent. You're another person. They're humans. You don't get to treat them any lesser because you birthed them. That was a privilege for you to be the bearer of their child, to bring forth life. And you are a shepherd to their child. You don't own them. They're not a slave to you. And so the best thing you can do is behave in a way that you want to see in them. Right. Because
I agree with that.
We experience these adults on a day-to-day basis. We are not well. We are not well. Okay?
Can you pull up Facebook? The live while you talk?
Me?
Yeah.
My Facebook?
No. The show, the
Oh,
DG show page.
Yeah.
Did you see if some dialogue?
We are not
I'm
well.
sorry.
And so me personally, I want to produce a person that
Well,
don't need
Uh-huh.
therapy from me.
Well, somebody just asked, don't you think children test you? They the biggest test in the world.
Life is a test. Life is a test. And we're supposed to be able to maneuver through this thing, and we
Yes.
have to figure some things out. We
Yes.
also have to figure them out. We need to learn who they are
Yes.
and help them be better them. I've seen parents who are bullies.
Yeah. I've
And
seen
then-
parents that compare themselves to their children and that's how they belittle them,
Yeah.
meaning you haven't done this but let me say something, parents. Your child is supposed to be a better you.
I can see it on the page.
Oh,
I can see it on the page.
yeah, he said it's not up. And I got
But
it.
yeah, they are supposed to be a better you. And so you have to be right. I don't want to produce a person that needs to go get therapy from me. We out here in therapy. People go seek therapy. You shouldn't need therapy from your parents. And you were such a bully to your child that now, as an adult, they're in a job and they meet a supervisor or another person that look a little bit like you and don't know how to deal with that person.
Right.
They don't know how to deal with that person. So these are not the individuals we want to produce. So if you're not, by the age of 12, if you're not getting what you need from your child, then you're not displaying that to your child. And because we have so many of us that we need fixing, we need therapy. Even if it's not from our parents, we need therapy from these relationships that our children saw us in,
Yeah.
where we were mentally, physically, verbally abused, and now we're recovering from it, and we're not recovering the children from that relationship. That same relationship you was in, where you were abused, your child experienced that too.
Yeah.
And now they have to experience you in a depressive state.
And you really
have
don't
to-
know how they
And you
took
don't
it.
know how they took it. You don't know what their experience was. You have no way of knowing that unless you have a conversation. So while you're going to therapy, bring them into therapy too. You're not the only one that get to have therapy. Because if you're messed up to the point where you need therapy, they probably need therapy. Because you bleeding all over them. And so when we get to an adult, and that same adult, we're in our house arguing with adults. Clean your room. Stop leaving this mess. You grown. I'm not cleaning up behind you. This is the same conversation you had with them when they were 7. This conversation hasn't changed. And it should have. But that's because y'all were growing up together. So raise yourself before you raise these kids. And just because they turned 18, they didn't learn by way of osmosis something that they didn't pick up from you along the way. So because they're 18 now and you want them to go out into the world and you're sending them out unprepared.
That right there. That right there, as far as us not being prepared, us not preparing, I should say,
Not preparing
our
them. 'Cause
children.
we're not prepared still. We're still repairing ourselves. How is my adult child going to go out into the world and be an adult if they never see me be one?
Right. It should be up.
And sometimes they can. I'm not saying everybody go and fail because their parents was this or that.
Right.
I know some really good, productive citizens whose parents weren't shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can happen. Some people come into themselves
Yeah.
and they have the wherewithal because sometimes their parents weren't shit and they had to parent themselves. But it is not our job to parent them. We brought them here. We parented them. And we show them the way. We guide them. We help them figure out who they are, who they need to be, and how to get there. And me personally, at home is where we have what it is that we need, because we send them out into this world to get the programming.
Right.
They get the programming out in the world. The programming is to how they need to exist in the world. And so when they come back home to me, I don't need to be trying to instill more programming. That's not what we
but
need.
in my opinion, a lot of the programming is done at a young age as far as what we want out of our children. And like you say, if you're talking to them in a disrespectful manner, that's what you're programming.
Right.
If you're reading to them before they are able to read or recognize letters, that's what you're programming.
When I say the programming, I'm talking about the social structure.
Okay.
I'm talking about the school. I'm talking about teachers, authority figures. I'm talking about those types of things, the social structure that they're going to have to go into out in the world, to get a job, the this,
Recording
the
in
that,
progress.
the education that they're supposed to get.
Right.
They
Right.
have enough of that out there,
Yeah.
the programming. In the house, we need to figure out who you are and how you're going to show up in the world. And I need to help you navigate that. I don't need to drill it down in you more of the programming. That's not how that works.
Right. Right. Someone on TikTok said something about they're growing up, talking about as far as how much time parents spend, and that's very vital. And in my opinion, remember I said at the beginning of the show, it might be cultural to a certain extent. In this society, for the most part, a lot of men don't think that they're supposed to spend that much time with their children. They think that their job is to work.
Right.
They get to relax
Because
a little bit,
and
and
all
they
of that.
right. But that's it. And I'm telling you, men, you're the difference. A lot of times, you're the difference in what your child chooses to do or how they choose to act or react in public concerning certain things. How often you pop up at the school and they know daddy on it. I'm telling you, you're a huge factor when it comes to the success of your children. I asked this, I wanted to do this topic because two of my friends, we all have 18-year-olds. All of them just graduated high school last June, right?
Mine coming soon.
So, but they're all different, meaning me and my son, we live by ourselves. Another one is he raised a young man since he was 4, so, but it's his mother, it's that. And then the other one is a regular nucleus family, right? So everybody's going through something with theirs. So let me ask you this. I wanted to pose this. Because you say you're never supposed to really push them out. You're supposed to prepare them for the world, and they leave when they are prepared to leave, right? Okay. This is one of the scenarios. Your husband comes downstairs, and your 18-year-old is at the sink for 2 hours, but ain't washed the dish because he's in his phone, ain't moved. And then when your husband says something to him, he says, "What you gonna do if I don't?" Yeah, definitely. What you gonna do if I don't? How does that fit in the parameters of? Because that's challenging him physically. That's what that's saying. That's saying I'm a man now. What's up? Don't
Right.
you know what I mean? Leave me alone, basically. But you're still a child.
Right. Well,
That happens often.
she need to stay out of it.
Okay, I agree with that.
She needs to stay out of it. That's their thing.
Right.
And they're going to have to handle it the way they handle it. Now, I don't suggest they go, to fighting or anything like that.
Right.
That's not my suggestion. But as a man, and this is your man-child, I don't know. And see, there's so much missing. Is this the first time that
It's
happened?
the first time it's happened. He's been, the word is, he's been getting a little aggressive verbally with his mother, but never when the father's around. So he's been challenging his mother.
So now he's challenging the father. He
Right.
says, "So what if I don't?" So he's challenging. So you have to set an example at that point. At that moment, you have to be an example.
Mhm.
Now, what you do is going to set the tone for how y'all move forward.
Right.
Be it whether he's in the house or not.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm not saying what he should do because I don't know what
The
he
whole
should
story.
do.
I'm with you.
But he definitely have to set an example at that point. And where I come from,
Mm-hmm.
he got punched.
Right.
He got punched.
He got plucked up.
Now, I don't think that's the proper way.
Right. No, and he didn't put hands on him, but he did let him know that he was challenging him physically, and if they ever get into it, you can't live here anymore.
Yeah.
Because I don't sleep well with somebody that I had to put hands on.
Yeah.
Because now you a man.
Now you the ops.
Yeah, you the ops. I can't live with you.
Now. Yeah.
I can't live with you.
We're not gonna live together. Now you're the ops. And so
Right.
having a conversation with him was the right thing to do. A very serious conversation, letting him know
It was serious.
how this is going to move forward.
Right.
What the expectations are, what my boundaries are,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's going to go in this house.
Right.
He had to set that stage.
He did.
Now
He did.
he can and this isn't his child.
It's not his child.
And so now him and mom both separately and together need to have a conversation with mom.
They did. And I'll say this, the mother was stressed out, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The two men she loved, ready to go at it. But she did side with her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you ain't going to be able to be here.
Right.
If that's how you carrying it,
Right.
you ain't going. And it stressed her out because
Right.
that's her
Yeah.
only child.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, in that situation, and I'll say, I ain't gonna say it ended, but I'll say, he went to go stay with his grandmother on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And what I told my man was, that's good.
Right. Right.
He understands that you and your wife are together, so he couldn't
Right.
break that,
Yeah.
which
And
is
so
a wonderful
he
thing.
He needed to step away from the situation,
Right.
and that left room for him to be
To-
able to come back to the situation or
Because
for
you
them
ain't
to
go
be-
off.
Right. For
Right.
them to be able to repair the relationship.
Right. And I told him this. He might do better there.
Yeah.
That's very possible. And that goes with that letting them go when they're ready to go.
Yeah.
It never
Yeah.
usually, not many of us moved out with a smile on our face.
Right.
That's just real. I know
Yeah,
I didn't.
I did.
You did?
I did.
Well, I moved out because my mother found a 7-shot revolver in my car. 7 shots, special. Hey, she took it. Anyway, 7-shot revolver in my car, and that's when I bounced. So it's usually an argument or something you think you're an adult and you doing adult stuff and you get checked
Right.
and you don't want to get checked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I got a little job. I didn't. Yeah, it was shocking to me
No,
too.
I left because I wanted to leave. I didn't leave.
So
because
you
I
were
had to
prepared.
leave. I was prepared.
Right, to you. Yeah. It can't be to nobody else.
Had I had it to do over again,
You would have stayed a couple more
I would have
years.
stayed a couple few more years. I
Couple
would
few
stay.
sound like 10.
A couple. I could have stood 10 more. But I left of my own will. I didn't have to. I was asked not to.
Right.
Um,
Or you asked not to leave?
I was asked not to.
See, that's that. Okay, let me ask you this, because I think this is important too. Someone asked, where are you? Oh, on Facebook. We are live on Facebook right now, the DG Show with Dana and Coco. My personal page, Derek E. Graham. We're live on TikTok, The Angry Black Dude, as well as YouTube, The Angry Black Dude. Check us out. What was I talking about? I'm sorry.
No, I said that I was asked to stay.
Oh, okay. How many generations were living in the house when you left? Meaning just your mother, her mother?
I had one more sibling, my mother, and I had one more sibling left
In the house?
She was in middle school at the time.
Okay. Yeah, I could see her wanting you to stay a little bit longer because she understood what you was going to go up against. Now,
Yeah.
when you left, did you have children by the
I
time
had
you left?
one. I had a 6-month-old.
That's why. Grandma wanted the baby to stay.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Now, with families, some, that's when it's time to get out. Oh, you
Yeah.
pregnant?
Yeah.
Start filling
Yeah.
out them applications for
Yeah.
subsidized housing. You better go get your food stamps. You better go, and you better be ready to go.
When I announced that I was pregnant, The only thing she told me is, I'm not babysitting. That's it. She said, I'm not babysitting. And she didn't, but I didn't need her to.
Right.
I was good.
Right.
I was good.
Right.
Not all on my own good. I had support system, and she was a part of the support system, but she wasn't necessary in my support system.
I got
So
you.
she was able to do what she wanted to do and have the baby when she wanted to have the baby. So she didn't, wasn't required, oh, mom,
Right.
watch the baby for me.
Right,
All of that.
right,
I didn't require all of that from her.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, scenario number 2. It's funny to me because they be calling. They know I like to work with the youth, so they pick
Right.
my brain on stuff. So scenario number 2 is part of it is the husband and the wife not on accord with how they're pushing the 18-year-old young man. Of course, the mother's babying him, and I kept telling them that's always going to be a problem if you and your wife not on the same accord. When y'all come outside that room to talk about whatever, it should be on the same accord as much as possible anyway. But she's babying them, and the father's pushing them.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do this, this, and this. When you sitting around the house too much, you need to, which is what he needs.
That's her problem.
That's what I told him. I ain't gonna
That's
lie.
her problem.
That's what I told him.
Yeah, that's her problem. She, and I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it. And I understand it from a personal experience.
Okay.
And so, I don't know that I babied him,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a mama's boy.
Right.
Cause, and I say, when I say I don't know that I babied him per se, because I'm not, that's just not me to
Right.
baby, to, I'm not necessarily the nurturer. My husband is actually the nurturer for the kids.
I remember you having conversations with me
Mm-hmm.
about your husband and your son.
Mm-hmm.
But every time you would talk to me about it, it would be, they would bump heads,
They did.
but then they were cool.
Yeah.
Because man to man, he understood after your son calmed down,
Yeah.
he understood not just then, but as a man, you're supposed to explain.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he
In
knew
a
he
way
could
that he
always go back
understands.
to him.
Right.
They bump heads because they're guys. And he knew he could always go back to him. Like I said, he's more of the nurturer than I am. When he needed money, when he needed this, he was the go-to for that.
Right.
Not me. I'm like, boy, you better get out of my face. And so that was him. So he was that person. But they also bumped heads. But they never got so bad that he couldn't go to him for something.
Right.
He always knew he could. He would call him before he called me. So, but he also pushed him. He also told him he needed to get a job. He also told him, those things.
Right.
He displayed and showed him examples of who he's supposed to be and how he needs to show up in the world. And, he was on and off along the way, and they bumped heads every now and then, but he could always go back to
He
him.
could always go back, which mean, and that's part of
I was a last resort.
when you are the type of parent that is pushing your children out. They don't think they can ever come back to you, which means they in the street doing some crazy stuff to survive.
Well, when he first left, he left of his own accord. He went to the Army.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when he first left. Now, when he came home from the Army, he had to be home for a little while because he came home hurt.
Right.
And so he had to be home to heal, that healing process.
Right.
And then he got to a point, because he wasn't used to being home, he just had to go. He couldn't keep still. He had to go. And everything he was doing was counter to what he should have been doing.
Right.
To what he was supposed to be doing.
Right.
And so they bumped heads a lot during that time.
But you gotta let them go.
Yeah.
When they trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
sad to say, you could give them all the information.
Yeah.
You can even predict to them like, look, if you do this, this how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And they'll still do it, but that's how they learn sometimes. everybody don't learn from other folks' experience. Some folks learn
My
from their
eldest
own.
daughter, who's 31 now,
Mhm.
she left when she was 19. She ain't been back.
See, now, interesting.
And she's had her challenges.
Is it a difference from
little bit.
boys and girls?
A little bit, because she's a doer. She's a finisher. My daughter, she do whatever it is she needs to do. She's not gonna come ask me for anything. She's not gonna ask my husband for anything.
Right.
If she's asking me, I know she needs it.
It's the last resort.
Yeah.
I got you.
Because I'm definitely her last resort. Not because I won't do it, but because she won't ask.
Right.
She refuses to ask. She go get it. Whatever, she needs to do. She work. She's an entrepreneur. Sometimes she has to go get a job because the entrepreneur thing not working.
Slowing that right. I'm
She's
with you.
like, this slow right now. I need to go get a job. I need to go do this. I need to do that. That's how she is.
Right.
It's different in that aspect because my son wasn't like that. My son would be like, let me go ask my pop. I'm just gonna go ask him. You got cash at?
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So.
But that being able to, if it cuts off, if you're the type of parent that's telling your child you got to leave at a certain age, and it's really they're not doing anything that's disrupting the house. I'm gonna say that because that matters. That definitely matters. You're cutting off them coming to you for advice. You're cutting off how they feel about coming to you when they might need a little bit of help, even if it's conversation, even if it's something look, I paid all my bills, might get a check in 3 days, I got to get back and forth to work and I owe 25. It might be something small like that they like, no, I'm not going to the person that pushed me away, because that's how it's taken a lot of times, whether you understand. You think that it's adult time, and I'm going to say this too. Many parents are looking forward to their children turning 18 because in their mind, their responsibility is done. That's legally. That's legally.
It's not done.
That's your bloodline. This ain't no job.
It's not done. Yeah.
This is forever.
Yeah.
It's
my youngest is 17. She came.
She's 17 now?
She's 17.
What the hell happened to 14?
She is 17. She can't wait to leave. She's like, man, when I turn 18, I'm getting up out here now. It is her plan to go to college.
Right.
So we gonna, we working on some things, making that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, I'm out of here. And I said, where are you gonna go to college? I said, it's gonna be a car ride, a plane ride. She said, I'm thinking plane ride. I'm like,
she ready to go.
I'm like, I ain't gonna see you too often then.
If she wants this plane ride, that's her plan too.
It's gonna have to be her plan.
But
when she called and talking about, I want to come home for the
right,
holidays, I want to come home.
That's money.
We talk. You gonna have to have that plan.
Yeah, I agree.
Now
with
I'm
you.
not trying to discourage her or anything like that. If that's where she want to go, by all means, go there.
Right.
I'm not saying anything, but she needs to include that in her plan.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Yeah, you have to have that thought process.
I'm down for a good road trip if I can drive there, but if I have to catch a plane,
right,
you might not see me that much.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. So, that's what I'm going to get into. Cultural. So, no, it's something else. So, in my opinion, when you're long before your child turns 18, we should be putting very specific things in them. We know about, we want them to read well, we want them to math well, do math well, and do good in school for obvious reasons. But also outside of that, we have to a driver's license.
She has her driver's license.
That's a must.
Yeah.
That's a must
Yeah.
in this society. First off, it's a legal form of ID everywhere. But beyond that, you should have your license. It's just what it is. A bank account.
Yeah.
Preferably a checking and a savings. But a bank account. And when I say preferably a checking and a savings, that means when they're 16, 17 years old and they're getting their first jobs, a certain amount goes to the savings and is never touched. So they can watch $25 a week grow to 4, 5, 600 in a small amount of time, so they can have an understanding how they can slow roll savings or tuck more when they feel like it. But it's just getting the, and even, how much you make a week? Your cell phone bill on you now.
Just balancing some things.
Right. Just giving them a little bit of responsibility when they start to enjoy getting paid for their work. But it matters later, because if you're 18, if you turn 18 without a bank account and an ID, you are definitely not an adult.
You're not ready to go.
You are not right.
By that time, if you don't have some basics, by that time, you're not ready to go. And your parents, all of that talking about you getting ready to go because you're 18 and you don't have the basics, you're not going anywhere. At least for another 2-3 years.
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere.
And it's going to be longer if you don't have a plan for after high school. Yeah. If you just like, I'm going to get a job, then listen,
work that way.
Amazon hires everybody in Baltimore. It's not even an interview. When you go to the interview, you're hired. That's how Amazon is. You know why? Because their turnover is so high. The money's good. Yeah. The turnover is so high because you're on your feet all day, and the average 18-year-old, unless they have to, they don't want to do that. Now, some have to. Some, when they turn 18, they paying bills like their mother or their father's their roommate. That's just how it is in certain homes. But most, Amon did it. I was hoping he lasted till Christmas.
He didn't last.
He got the job in like July. He lasted to about end of August, something like that. He looked at me, hit me with this. I said, "You supposed to be working tonight?" I'm not going back there, Dad. But I know it's not him.
Yeah.
But I'm not beefing with you. You went and got it on your own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You did what you were supposed to do. The money he was getting like $5-something a week. That's good money fresh out of high school. It was wearing, and he was getting off at like 2-3 in the morning. Wow. And I'm getting up to go get him. I'm supporting you. Yeah. I'm with you 100%, right?
Yeah. He said,
I ain't going back. This look on his face was like he was a steel worker for 50 years.
How Bethlehem still?
Yeah.
Wow.
But we then we sat down and had a conversation. And one of the things I said in that conversation is, now you have a clear understanding of what you don't want to do.
Right. Yeah.
We're not even gonna talk about. I don't care. I did not care. I know my son. I knew it wasn't gonna like. You know what you don't want to do. So now we need to figure out what you do want to do, or at least what you could take and understand, at least until the next step.
Yeah.
And that's the conversation we had. You know what I'm saying? And it took him a minute to find another job, but he knows that very physical labor is not for him.
That was my experience as I was coming up in different jobs and everything, and I learned on those jobs what I didn't want to do. And I distinctly remember I worked at Wendy's. This was way early before I graduated high school. Security booth.
Okay.
When they first opened. They opened February of '87. And so there was...
Roy Rogers was across the street.
Yep. There was this lady, grown lady. She had children my age. And I asked, why are you working here, though? Like, here, we at Wendy's. We kids.
We in here having fun getting spending money.
Why you here? Because you got kids our age. Like, your kid can work here.
Right.
Why you here? And I remember saying to my girlfriend at the time, when I'm that age, ain't no way I'm going to be here.
Right.
Now, it never occurred to me at the time that I could still be there, but perhaps I would be a manager.
Right.
Perhaps
right.
I would have my own store. None of that came into my mind. I was just, I will not be working the register
because you were thinking about her job.
Yeah.
Right. I'm with you.
Her job. She was doing what I was doing.
I'm with you.
I was like, when I'm your age, I am not doing this. Right. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing,
but I ain't gonna be this.
Won't be it.
No. Yeah. And as a parent, preparing your children for certain things. Yeah. Since my children were teenagers, when we went into a fast food restaurant and saw someone in their 30s or 40s, I hit them with this. How far you think they got in high school?
Right.
You think they finished?
Mm-hmm.
You think they went to a trade school or college? I'm in your ear like that.
And they could have.
They could have, but
they could have.
But the average child is going to be like, nah. And I don't want to do this. You just have to get them to look at it.
It might be a meantime type of job sometimes.
It is.
You know, like.
But that wasn't my goal. My goal was to tell my children, have a plan.
Yeah, have a plan.
I don't know. They could listen. Yeah. They could have been.
McDonald's could have been their plan.
They could be part owner, and I don't know.
Yeah.
They could be going through a management program, and I don't know.
Or they could just be on fries, and it's okay, but it ain't for me.
Okay, because
it's just.
They
not
could
for me.
just be on fries, but
it's just not for me. That's all. I don't. It could be anything. It could be their part time.
But I agree with that too.
Yeah.
But me as a father, I just want them to. I want them to look at, like right now where my son works. He works with people that are my age or close to my age. Mm-hmm. So we have a conversation about they making what you making.
Yeah. And you know what that is.
That's not a big discussion after that.
Yeah.
It's an understanding after that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they making what?
Yeah.
That's why you get up so early, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I went to trade school.
My niece, 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She's a second grade school teacher, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you know, this is her first year.
Right.
And she graduated from college last year. This is her first year second grade school teacher. And she called me one day. She said, Auntie, she said, so when you were my age, you had a job, right? I said, yeah. She said, and you had my cousin, right? I said, yeah. She said, how in the world on this paycheck did you have a kid? Mm-hmm. She said, I cannot have me, a kid, an apartment, a car, and all of this stuff. She's still home. She's like, there's no way I can do all of this with this paycheck.
Until you have to.
It's other teachers
that are in the same boat. Well, teachers don't get paid a lot.
I mean, I know.
Sad to say.
But, I mean, she decent for her just
for
coming
her
out
age, right.
For her age.
Right.
And she's like, and these other people are here, and they grown, and they have whole families.
They got whole families.
She said, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Whole families. And they got
whole families.
And they gotta it's gotta work.
It's got to work.
It's gotta work.
She said there's no way I could do this. And she said this just the other day. It's no way, but we made it work, but you have to show these adult children an example. Well, you should have showed the example
before they became adults.
So that they can see. But my thing is, up to age 12, and be kind to your kids. Stop cussing these little folk out.
I see it this way. If you talk to your children, if you use those same words to a person on the street, if you know you would have to fight that person,
would it be okay?
You would have to square up right there. Then how do you talk to your child that way? You know what
somebody you claim to love,
right? And you're beating them up on purpose, but you're not using your hands. But it's in their minds.
Right. They're gonna need therapy from you. I'm trying to raise a person that's not gonna need therapy. Now, my 17-year-old and already told me she needs therapy from me now, but it's not for those reasons.
Right.
She just thinks mom's not cool.
But don't nobody. So then you're doing your job. You ain't supposed to be cool.
Right. And I'm just messing her up. I'm corny.
Good.
I'm old.
Good. All of that.
I don't mind that.
Right.
And if you need therapy
but because guess
you got
what?
a problem.
Guess what? If you were the end mother, she wouldn't like that either.
Right. She don't want me twerking on that video with her.
Right. Right.
She don't want me doing that.
Right. So yeah, you're in a good place. You're in a place of respect.
Yeah.
That's all. So, that's your job.
That's what it is. Yeah. Now my eldest, she tries to help the younger one out, but she don't listen. She hard-headed.
But she listening, but it ain't click yet.
She
listening because your daughter giving her the same lessons you giving her, just in different words.
Yeah,
it'll click when it's supposed to click.
She's closer to her age,
right?
And she tells her mom's okay. Mom's, she's not bad.
Right.
But she also now, mind you, apparently I'm not the same parent.
You can't be.
she told my eldest told my youngest that if she had the same mother as she did, she'd have been had her ass whipped.
You know that though.
Yeah,
You
that
know
is
that.
true.
So you grew.
That
That's
is
all.
true. But I have changed.
But I bet you this. I bet you still know how to hurt your youngest daughter's feelings when it's time to correct her and do things to discipline her. You still know how to. That's what I'm saying.
Easy.
It was just we were taught
Yeah.
to whip ass because we got our ass whipped.
And when I unlearned that thought process,
Right.
I changed.
Right.
And it's unnecessary. It is unnecessary. I will say that. And even when I did do it, I didn't do it to the point of damage to them.
Right.
Because I didn't do it often. I never cursed them out and, those sort of things. That's
Right.
just not who I am.
Right.
You'd have to
Me
get me
either.
to that point. And I'm not talking to somebody I love that way. So that's
Right.
just that. But they did get disciplined. They did get disciplined. And like you said, we were taught that way. But when I unlearned, so much I had to unlearn. So much. Just
Yeah.
unpacking,
When you
unpacking all of that stuff that we were programmed
what we were
into.
taught, and I will say this, and I think a lot of us, we may not like something that our parents are doing when we're younger, and we understand that. You even say it sometimes. I ain't doing that when I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then we get it so much, we see it so much. When we get to a certain age, all of a sudden we understand it.
Yeah.
And that's part of our behavior now.
But we understand it because we don't know what else to do.
I agree.
When you figure out what else you can do, then you look at that and it's like, because it's so many things, even that just didn't resonate with me when I was young.
Right.
And I've gone through all of these things and kind of unpacking those things that I learned and that I picked up and that I started doing that never resonated with me. It didn't sit right. And I'm like, I can't do this. That don't feel good.
Right.
Why would I continue to do this? Because they did it. And so we keep doing things in a cycle.
And who's going to
and
break the cycle?
repeating these terrible cycles.
Yeah.
And so we keep reproducing ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's not working. And you can't reproduce this. Like when I look at the school system, in particular our school system, right? Piss poor. Baltimore City, piss poor school system.
Right.
And so they're producing some piss poor
Adults. Yes, they
right?
are.
And then those same adults go to the same school their parents went to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your mother? I had her in second grade, and now I have you in second grade.
You're going to produce the same person.
Producing the same person.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you definitely have to have, when you come from certain environments and you have an understanding that you don't like the environment and you want to change, you're going to have to really do the work to make the change. Yeah. It's just what it is. It's not fair or none of that. But you're going to have to, whether that's making sure you're a better reader than everybody in your class because you know they ain't teaching you enough, or making sure when you in high school you playing every sport so you can get some scholarships to get up out of here. Whatever you have to do to make that shift, to make your life better, long before you thinking about children, long before you thinking about a marriage or anything, you should know or should think about the quality of life you want. And then start, even no matter what, and I know certain situations are hard, like we're going to be honest, everybody don't have enough to eat tonight. That's hard for a child to think about later down the road when you're fighting those kinds of issues. But you still have to have that spirit that when you have a chance to do something, do it. When you have a chance to learn something more, learn it. When you have a chance to pick up a book and read something and get a different mindset, just know what you're working towards.
Now, I'm mindful, understanding who we're talking to right now, our audience. We're talking to the parents who have possibly adult children. We're talking possibly to a few of the adult children. So, and some parents who have very young children.
Right.
So, take some of these things chew the fat, spit out the bone. If it resonate with you,
Right.
act on it.
Right.
If it don't, keep it pushing.
And I'll say that when you, as far me, I'm gonna speak on myself. When something resonates with you, it's easy to change. It's easy, and if you don't, it bothers you.
Well, sometimes when it what happens a lot of times, cognitive dissonance, right? So it goes against our programming, but it resonates with us somehow. But it's against our programming. It resonates. You know what that means? That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Not what you've been programmed to do necessarily.
Now that's why I said certain things are cultural
Right.
within this society.
Now it is often difficult to not do what you've always known.
Yeah. What everybody expect.
Right. But this resonates with you and what everybody expects, what society expects, what your friends, your family, and everybody expects. It takes some serious discipline to come out of that programming and do something different. But sometimes you just have to do it. If you want a different result from what you've been getting,
Right.
you are going to have to do it. I mean, I stepped all the way out there.
Right.
I stepped all the way out there. My mother look at me sometimes like, who are you? And I tell her, you didn't raise me.
I get that too. I know I'm not a normal thinker. I'm gonna say it that way. I know I'm outside the box of most folks in this area. You know what I'm saying?
I've always been an outside thinker, not necessarily going with the flow of what everyone else was doing.
Right.
I go with my flow.
Right.
And my flow don't be flowing it. The current be going against what other folk doing. I do it anyway. And when my mother looking at me crazy now and I say like she didn't raise me, I don't mean technically. My mom did raise me.
Right.
But I don't operate in the way that she raised me always with the things that I do. I don't sound like her. You know, some people I don't become my parents. I have not become my parents.
Right. And I'm
completely opposite of my parents.
All right, let me touch on something real quick. First off, when I looked it up, they said a suggested age for children to leave home is 24 to 26.
That's when their brain
they mature more.
Developed by that time.
Right.
By age 25 is when scientifically is when a brain fully develops.
Okay. I also want to touch on because so many children are raised primarily with one parent. Most times it's the mother. In my opinion, the other parent, the non-custodial parent, should always be prepared to take their child. When I mean take, I mean if most times they're not. I agree, and that's something that I've always thought about. Even when I'm in a small space, I've actually had to talk to my oldest son and let him know, and he's Troy's 6'3", probably pushing 300 pounds. If Daddy got somewhere to live, you got somewhere to live. Even if you in the living room, we're gonna work it out. That's what it is. Now, this last winter, my daughter and grandson had to come stay with me for about 7-8 months. 2 years ago, my son came to me out the blue at 16. He's 18 now. He's still with me. My oldest boy last winter, he caught COVID, and he wasn't necessarily stable, so I rearranged my whole house so he could have upstairs by himself for 5 or 6 days So what I'm talking about is not something that I didn't do or haven't done. And no, it wasn't happy days all the time, and it wasn't smooth, and it was none of that. But they have to know they have someone to lean on that cares about them, that's not going to use them when they're in a bad space. Right. All of us have. All of us needed someone to lean on. Yeah. But when your child, that's even if none of them had to come stay with me, just the fact that they're open enough to have that conversation. You understand what I'm saying? Just that fact, it's huge to how they process.
And how they show up in the world.
Because
they're confident and they're comfortable because they know I have somebody that has my back.
Right. I have somebody that has my back. Right. The person that's supposed to have my back.
Right. And it ain't my bestie.
Right.
It's not my boyfriend.
Right.
Not
It's
my
dad and mom.
girlfriend.
That's who it is.
My mom and my dad got my back.
Yeah. That's who I'm calling when I got issues.
Yeah.
That's who I'm calling to figure things out.
Yeah.
Now you slowly get your friends, but they mostly know what you know.
Yeah.
That's just what.
I'm that mom. They had to call. Mom, can I get my social security card? Bring me my card back. I'm gonna let you hold it right quick.
Right.
But
no.
Now I did make sure they had their own,
Right.
but I had a copy because my son
Right.
he would lose again.
But in that instance, and specifically to the fathers, you should have a conversation. If you're not living in the house with all your children, because if one of them is outside of the house, that's a possibility that they may need to come live with you, which would disrupt your house. It's just what it is. But you should have a conversation with your lady and have an honest conversation with your children are here, most likely. If my children need somewhere to be, we need to think ahead of how we're going to arrange the house, how we're going to assist, which way, and it's going to be a different plan for different children, because we already know that they're going to be in different places, and you should know your child to a certain extent. But it should be a conversation. So just if it happens, your child is not bouncing from sofa to sofa. Now, if they choose to, because they don't want to deal with your house rules, that's something different. That's something
But why
different.
you got all these unreasonable rules
Some
that you
rule-
don't even follow yourself?
What's unreasonable? Wait a minute. First things first. If it's my house,
Your house, your rules.
my rules.
I agree.
If my rules are not, I'm not gonna say like, man, my kitchen closed at 8.
So you didn't raise a reasonable enough adult
Mhm.
that will come into your house and be a human,
It
a
depends.
decent human.
It depends.
So you don't have because
It all. Yeah, I'll be holding back too. It all depends, because if that child is raised with the other parent, that's the one that's the whatever that
so
attitude
you
is
got
in that
a
house.
Well,
That's how it is.
okay. So you're saying perhaps this is a child. Okay. So you're saying perhaps this is a child that you didn't have a relationship with.
Oh, no,
so
I'm
y'all
not
don't really know each other.
No,
that well.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying most times when you have a custodial or non-custodial parent, the non-custodial parent sees that child maybe 5 days out the month. Maybe, let's give it 10 days out the month. And all those days you're not spending the night. So and the child will get used to that, and it'll be okay. That's not the same to me as 50-50 or being in a house with the child. That's very different. The custodial parent has far more influence of how that child is being raised, and that may not be how you want your child raised. So your child may, and I'm actually thinking of somebody in this scenario.
I'm not even going back how custodial, non-custodial, all that stuff. We're talking about an adult child.
Right.
So now at this point, me and this child have a relationship.
Right.
Whatever that relationship is, we have gotten to know each other to some point. So now we know each other.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We know each other now. So, I mean, I would expect the same thing I would expect out of them, like from a friend. So the same loyalty, the same everything. I'm not around no suckers, so I don't expect no sucker shit.
I'm with
and
you.
You're not going to be in my house
doing
with some
no sucker
shit.
shit. I'm with you. No, and that's when
I don't hang around.
But that's
suckers.
what I'm saying. So, but if you have, listen, and we all know children like to stretch the boundaries. Children like, and I want to get into that a little bit too with the boys, but children like to stretch the boundaries and things of that nature, so they're trying you. They're constantly trying you. It's especially if they're coming to you as an adult coming back into your house, they feel as though they should have a certain amount of freedom anyway. But no, you came here to get your shit together.
Because the way I do, I don't necessarily, now I have my boundaries, but I don't necessarily lay down no whole bunch of rules, right?
It should be basic house rules.
Basic things.
Yeah.
I mean, clean up behind yourself. Basic human things, right? And so if you need to be reeled in about some stuff, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cross that bridge when we get to it. I mean, you're a human being. I'm a human being. You conduct yourself the way you need to conduct yourself, and we both show up in the world and show up to each other.
Right.
We're kind, we're cordial, and that sort of thing. So I don't expect you to treat my house any different that you would treat your own.
See? But you don't know how they treat it. That's what I'm saying.
Perhaps they may
everybody's
not
house don't carry the
I'm
same.
like, you clean up behind yourself. Okay, you
don't.
do. Okay, I clean up.
Well, I
behind
do my
myself, you
dishes.
clean
I
up
do my
behind
dishes
yourself.
on Thursdays.
Yeah. Well, no, we like I said, I have my boundaries. We like our dishes to be done every day.
Every
We
day.
wash our bodies every day. We
day.
use
See,
soap
that's
and washcloth.
Yeah.
This some basic things. We get the basics out of the way.
Right.
But I'm not laying down no whole bunch of rules.
Yeah, I'm not
Lights
gonna
out,
be-
9
yeah, I'm not
o'clock.
doing all that.
My door locked 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Don't come knocking on my door. You not getting a key.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. If you
How do you expect anybody to be respectful, even if they're in your space, to be respectful to you and themselves if you don't treat them like a human?
Yeah, I agree with that.
If you treat them cordial and with respect, and then they do some sucker shit, they don't respect you or themselves.
Right.
And we can't have a
around,
reciprocal
I
relationship
agree with that.
if you can't respect me and yourself.
Right.
Because disrespecting me is disrespecting yourself.
Right.
Now, do you love yourself enough?
Some don't. Some have to
don't.
learn it.
We're going to have to work
Some-
on that.
yeah, we had to work
That's
on
where
it.
therapy comes into play. I'm raising people who don't need therapy from me.
I don't know.
That's my goal.
I don't know if mine need. But before we go, fathers in this situation with the adult boys in the house, he gonna try you. It's just what it is. Sometimes he gonna first try you with his mouth, and maybe, and I'm gonna say I got tried. He might try you physically. He might, and I'm gonna say this: stay in shape. Stay in shape, because right. You know he got the energy.
Gonna take it to you.
If he's a gym dude, if he's a little gym rat, you feel what I'm saying? He getting it up there. He gonna try you.
He think he got it.
Yeah, stay in shape, and when it happened, do him in fast and hard, so he never do it again. He'll respect you after that. And I don't know what it is about. When I worked at Hickey, which is a lock facility, it was the same way. Once we had to restrain a boy and he felt it, the next shift, he loves you.
Yeah.
Boy, how you doing at the ground?
He wasn't able to
He
hit
was,
you
but
like
but
that.
but that's how some
Like
young
I said
men.
with that other one, you set the tone right then.
Yeah, you gotta set the tone.
I know somebody.
Gotta set the tone. Can't
He
let it
might
go.
Watch this. I can't tell his business. Never mind. Go ahead.
You can't let it go.
Can't.
And some fathers have gotten their ass whipped because they don't want to be in shape.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. You got your son in judo for 17 years.
Right.
And asked him to take out the trash at the wrong time. Now he want to show you what an orange belt do. Stay in shape. I'm telling you. This is the DG show with Dana and Coco. We're live on TikTok, live on the DG show with Dana and Coco page on Facebook, live on my Facebook page, the Derek E. Graham, and we're live on YouTube, the Angry Black Dude. Definitely a good show. Time went fast.
It did.
And
Always do.
we got some clips for this one. I'm gonna do about 4 or 5 clips this week for this one.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll see y'all next Sunday, 7 o'clock. 7 to 8, the DG show with Dana Coco. See ya.
Good night.
I just put